Think about a time when you didn't handle something the way that you wish you would have. When you got caught in the heat of the moment, said something you wish you could take back, made a choice that you knew in your gut wasn't right, but you did anyways. Right before that moment, how did you feel? Your heart rate picked up, your brain might have felt like it was racing. Was there heat in your face and a tightening in your chest? And then it just happened. The words came out or the choice was made, almost as if it were involuntary. For a split second, it felt deserved, earned, even necessary. And then, as the moment settled, got heavier, revisiting the words or the choice left you with a pit in your stomach, a constricted throat, maybe a lingering defensiveness or a quiet regret. That physical sensation, the gap between what happened in your body, the heat in your face, the tightening in your chest, and what you did, the words, the actions, that gap is what this session trains. Here's what's happening in your brain when that almost instinctual, involuntary response occurs. The brain has three layers: the old brain, basic survival, safety, and home of your amygdala. The amygdala is the part of the brain that identifies threats and launches you into fight or flight. Then there's the midbrain. This is your emotion and your social connectivity. And lastly, the new brain. This is home of logic, planning, and conscious choice. Also of the prefrontal cortex, which is the part that regulates emotions and adapts behavior. For millions of years, when we saw a tiger, the old brain fired immediately because it had to for us to survive. There was no time for processing and debate. The problem is that your old brain can't tell the difference between a tiger and a tense conversation. The old brain only reads the signals in your body: the racing heart, the clammy hands, the rising heat. And it flicks into fight or flight response the same way that it always has, immediately and instinctually. Essentially, your default operating system looks like this: stimulus triggers old brain, triggers reaction. But fight or flight mode is not useful when you're answering emails, pitching ideas, or having important conversations. However, here is what meditation does and where it starts to get really interesting. We can actually train our brains to run a different neural pathway, one that looks like this. Stimulus triggers awareness of the stimulus, triggers new brain, triggers choice. The new brain is already readily available to you. The missing link is your awareness. The awareness happens in the gap, the micro moment in time when you have the opportunity to pause the old brain from firing automatically and allow the new brain to step in. Harvard neuroscientist Sara Lazar used MRI imaging to confirm that this isn't just a metaphor. The prefrontal cortex physically thickens in meditators, and the amygdala becomes measurably less reactive. Just 8 weeks of practice produces structural changes that you can actually see on scans. So, this isn't just about feeling calmer, it's about upgrading your operating system, rewiring your brain for a world of complex problem solving and high stakes conversations, not high speed tiger chases. Let's begin. Find your position, seated, upright, with the spine supported, effort without strain. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a big, full breath in through the nose and release completely out through the mouth. Welcome to your dojo, not a place, but a state, a trained inner state of clarity, stillness, and presence, one you can return to consciously and on demand. Notice the weight of your body where it meets the surface beneath you. Where is it heaviest right now? Notice if you're holding any unconscious tension that you can release. Can you release the tongue from the roof of the mouth? Can you soften the jaw, the muscles around the eyes? Find your breath, not thinking about the process of breathing, but experiencing the actual sensation of it. Cool air as it enters through the nostrils, and warm on the exhale. Whatever arrived with you today, you can set it down. It can wait. Right now, the only thing that matters is your undivided attention. This is your dojo. Let's practice by finding the gap in something small. Stay exactly where you are, eyes closed or gaze softened. In a moment, I'm going to make a sound. Your only job is to notice the first microsecond of your awareness of the sound. Not your interpretation, not whether you like it or not. Just the moment of recognition before any thoughts about the sound form. Did you catch it? A moment of recognition. That moment, that flicker of pure awareness is the gap. Before the thoughts came, before the what was that's, before there was any reaction, there was a single moment of pure noticing. Just, oh, not, oh, good, or oh, bad. Not, oh, that startled me, or oh, I know what that is. Just, oh, that is the gap. It is not a state of calmness that you have to manufacture. It is just the moment of pure awareness that exists before the mind decides what something means. It was already there. You didn't create it, you just noticed it. The practice of meditation is the practice of making that moment last a little longer, making it wider and more accessible, especially when the stimulus isn't a neutral sound in a quiet room, but for the times when it's a raised voice, a disappointing result, or a moment of pressure. Extending the gap, a moment of pure awareness, is what we are training. We always arrive in the body first because that's where the gap first shows up. The tightening in the chest, the pit in the stomach, the heat in the face. These are not outcomes of situations. They are the body's response to them before your mind has even registered what's happening. The body signals first. The more present you are in this very moment, in this body, the more precisely you can read those signals, and the more time you have between what happens and what you do next. That time is the gap, and the gap is where your ability to choose lives. Gently bring to mind a moment when you didn't respond the way that you wish you had. It can be recent or old, large or small. We've all been there. Said things we wish we could take back, made choices we knew in our gut weren't right, and acted in ways that felt misaligned with the person we are becoming. There is no shame in this. The memory is not a verdict or a life sentence on who you are, but it is the most useful training tool available to you right now. Allow yourself to really go there. Be in that moment. Now, notice what happened in your body. Something shifted. Maybe it's a hollowness in your chest, pit in your stomach, tightening in your throat, clenching in your muscles, or stinging behind your eyes. Your body is responding to a memory. The old brain can't tell the difference between what's happening now and what happened then. The signals fire anyways. That physical sensation, the unconscious change in your body, that is the response itself. The response is not the words that came out or the choice that was made. The response already happened in your body milliseconds before that. That uncomfy, unsettled feeling triggered your old brain and you acted, literally, instinctually. Those milliseconds, when it is simply a sensation, before the old brain decides what it means, those are the gap. Sit with the memory of that moment again now, not as a story, not as a failure, but just as a sensation. Feel the moment as a change in your chest or a shift in your stomach. This is your data, and it is important data worth understanding. Don't allow the brain to try to fix the sensation or try to explain it. Don't let it become a story that means anything about who you are. Simply observe it, like a scientist observing an experiment, unbiased, curious, learning. Did you notice the O again? Not a judgment of the sound and not labeling it, just the pure awareness of noticing that something is present. That moment of recognition before the thoughts jump to center stage, that is the gap. Today, you extended it. You just sat in it, even if only for milliseconds, longer than you would have if you hadn't trained. Simply raising your awareness of the gap, knowing what to look for, extends it. That is the training, not relaxation, not emptying your mind, but extending the moment of awareness and giving yourself the opportunity to choose your reaction before your old brain runs your life for you. Begin to deepen your breath. Let the inhale expand through your chest, your ribs, and your belly. And release fully on the exhale. Having awareness of the gap doesn't mean you'll always find it, but training definitely means the odds are higher. And like any muscle, the more you practice, the easier it gets. Your dojo is where you come to know yourself more clearly. It's not to feel a certain way, but it's to understand yourself undoubtedly. to move from clarity out there. Every session here, every meditation produces measurable physical changes in your brain. Your prefrontal cortex thickens, your amygdala becomes less reactive. You are not the same person who sat down here. You are already operating on an upgraded system. When you're ready, open your eyes. Train relentlessly, live effortlessly.